Welcome to Discovering Creativity. It's a pleasure again to have Lindsay and Jose Quintana with us. And I'm very excited about this interview because I know Jose for a few years. I know a little bit of what he's doing. And we have been interviewing experts in creativity, consultants, and all other people involved in the research and helping companies to exercise creativity. But Jose he lives creativity and innovation because he invests in creative companies, he invests in new technologies, IT, and he does a lot of things that he will tell us about. So it's a very exciting interview for me, and I'm happy that he's with us, and he will share some of the insights into this innovation challenge that we are always facing. So, having said that, I'm going to give it to you, Lindsay, to start the interview, and I'll see you later. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Jose. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic.
Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me and help me just learn a little bit more about your work and how you are helping foster creativity in your companies and in our culture.
Great. Just really fast. Where are you calling from? Where are you signing up from?
I live in Waco, Texas.
Beautiful. Great.
Yes, it's pretty warm right now. I'm looking forward to cooler weather.
Yeah. Well, you're very close to us, so that's good.
Where are you from?
Well, I live here in Bryan, Texas.
Okay.
The Bryan College Station, not too far from you.
Not too far at all.
Yeah.
I have some kids who are excited about going to a football game this year in College Station. Jose, first, if you'll just introduce yourself, maybe where you're from and how you got to Bryan College Station area.
Sure. So I guess my journey was a little different than most people. I went to school in Mexico City at a high school back then in the late 70s that allowed you to select your kind of primary line of studies. So the high school, instead of being 4 years, it was 2 years back then. It was very fast. And I had the science and engineering track. So I really wanted to be able to come to Texas A&M University. I already knew that I loved the university because when I was little, when I was 14 years old, I had the opportunity to play American football in Mexico, and our team won the national championship.
That's awesome.
And the prize was to go to Houston to play against the Little Houston Oilers, which was the name of the team back many years ago. And so through that experience, I got to meet the father of the house I was staying at, and the father asked me if I would like to go see a football game the Saturday after our Friday night game. So you say, sure, I'd love to do that. So he was an A&M former athlete, so he brought me to A&M. A&M was playing Texas. A&M won. It was fantastic. And so I just decided back at that moment that I would do whatever it took to come to A&M. So I went back to Mexico, did my high school. And so I came to A&M. I was 16 years old. I turned 17 like a month or two after I arrived at A&M.
Oh my goodness.
And so it was a dream come true for me. And so I got to learn English while I was studying engineering. My background is in computer science and mathematics. And I just had a great time. And then once I finished A&M, I had to make a decision of whether open my own business or go back to Mexico because I didn't have a work visa. And I made the terrible mistake of opening my own business right out of school. So, I'm an entrepreneur, and I've been doing a lot of work in that area. And now as of 2001, most of my work deals with community and economic development. So I retired in 2001, actually. And I was able to then transition to my new life 2.0.
And what do you do currently in your 2.0?
Okay, so going from a technology heavy career to more of a community and economic development practice, that is my primary role, obviously, as a founder and CEO, is to kind of instill the right culture in our and the right objectives and initiatives in our group. And it's a little complicated because, at least it sounds complicated, because it has a lot of moving parts. But one of the things we do is we leverage technology and sciences and creativity to we leverage those disciplines in our practice of community and economic development work. So innovation, entrepreneurship in support of community development is a pretty common theme in what we do. So when we started in 2001, Advent GX, our company, which, by the way, it means Advent GX. So it's the advent of a global exchange. So we always wanted to do a lot of kind of transition to international development work. And that's now finally what we're doing 20 years after we started. So it's been great. In our practice, we have our consulting firm or division for community and economic development work. And then we have three different legs to that. One is our professional services division. The other one deals more with education and practicum type of opportunities. And then the third one is an entity called the Innovation Underground, which is a business and technology incubator. So that keeps me, pretty busy. So all those things, all those three components are what define Advent GX as a whole.
It's very, very interesting. Now, where did you come up? Did you found the companies Advent GX and Underground Initiative?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Advent GX was created in 2004 as a Texas A&M University spinoff. Actually, we were at the A&M Research Park for the first 10 years. And then finally, we spun it off out of the university, and now it's a 100% privately owned company. So we're an independent entity. And, being at A&M helped us a lot, just access to great resources from the science, engineering, life sciences, very, very thorough set of human capital. So it was amazing. And so we've been able to leverage that to a great extent. And that's our main, that's one of our main strengths, is being able to have that set of relationships with A&M.
How did you come up with the name again? I think you might have mentioned this, but how did you come up with the name?
Yeah, we wanted to have something that spoke about our mission, not just immediate but long term. So Advent GX, the Advent means the coming off, the advent of.
Okay.
And then so really it means the advent of a global exchange.
Okay.
Of culture, of resources, of people, talent, all those type of things.
And I bet you've just seen that grow exponentially with the development of technology in the last 20 years, I'm assuming.
Right, it's been a fantastic ride.
Mm-hmm.
And we do a lot of technology development work ourselves. We actually have a separate company that we develop just to be able to support all those entrepreneurs that would like to start their own business. And they have a great idea, a great work ethic, but they do not have the technology development team to their disposal. So we tend to do that in at least about half of the companies that we help.
You mentioned you're now global. So what are some of the countries that you are currently working?
So the first company that came to, or the first startup from a different country that came to our technology and business incubator, the Innovation Underground, was from the UK, from England, and it was such a great experience. Then after that, all of a sudden we got 2 companies from Belgium, and basically what these companies did were they used our incubator as a point of entry to the US market.
Okay.
So after that, Belgium has been a very popular country for us, and then Germany, and actually not until last year we recruited our first. Didn't recruit. We accepted the first company from Mexico. They do organic honey products. A really, really great entity. But we do have also kind of our international development mission side where we do work in right now we have a project in Portugal. We're looking at Spain. We opened a small presence in the south of Barcelona, Greece, and the UK. We are hoping that will also become a good base for us.
That's amazing. Do you get to travel to these different countries as you're helping them in the incubator?
Yes, we I say we because my wife joined our company at the very beginning in 2004, and now that we're married, now she's my business partner, and so we travel together a lot, not only internationally but also here within the US, and we actually have a very neat opportunity every year. We are part of something called the Antigua Forum, which is the accelerator for freedom. And talk about a great example to leverage creativity and innovation in support of those awesome missions that come to us. So yeah, it's been a fantastic journey in that respect. Really appreciate it.
So in helping foster creativity, it seems like you mentioned you were a lifelong entrepreneur, I think is how you defined yourself. How do you continue to foster and cultivate creativity in your personal life to then transition over into the business?
I guess to give you a good description, maybe I should share kind of the Undergarden components from a core value set. I think that's important. If you don't mind, let me mention that. So in order to really leverage creativity, innovation, entrepreneurship, all those things, what we try to do is make sure that we advocate for the core values that have helped us develop our practice. And we try to make sure that those individuals that we work with understand where we stand, but also learn from us, hopefully, to some degree, that strong ethics and just strong the underpinning of great objectives based on good virtues is so important. So we drive 4 core values that we again are very upfront about, and the first one is integrity and trust. So before we start getting creative with people or trying to get help, we try to first make sure, okay, let's understand that what we expect is that people that we help, people that they help, investors that may get involved, their customers, all that, they need to at least aim for a high degree of integrity and trust. Because without integrity and trust, nothing else matters. Things will break apart. It's just not wise to engage with somebody that do not possess that core value. The second one is intellectual horsepower. So intellectual horsepower is very important when it comes to the creativity side, because you really need to be able to have that mindset of thinking out of the box and tackling very hard problems. And not only that, but so for us, and the reason I wanted to pause in this particular core value is because really translates and transposes into the creativity side of the equation, right? People that are creative are really, really smart. And what I think, in my personal opinion, from a kind of human behavioral perspective, is that not only they are smart, they have to be versatile in their smartness. So they have to really be able to think in multiple dimensions really fast. It's just very, very difficult. But it's just a gift that people can to some extent develop, but a lot of them, you just have them in their spirit, in their personality, as you know. But that creativity, the way we inspire, advocate for, try to make sure that our team members and our customers and our people that we serve leverage is through the tackling of very hard problems, right? Doing hard things, but doing those, solving those hard problems in the most simplistic way that you can. And that's when you have to kind of get out of the box and say, well, we can continue to improve efficiencies or improve, let's say, customer engagement aspect of a particular product or whatever. But to really make a life-changing impact on something, you really need to leapfrog that, right? So, and to do that, you really need to kind of step back and look, is a problem. A lot of people tend to solve problems through, sorry, I'm getting some glare. Problems through technology, for instance, right? And that's great, but you first need to distance yourself from the technology side and look at the strategy side, because it's easier, faster, and cheaper, less expensive to solve something strategically than technologically, if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
That's one aspect. And then the third core value is business acumen. Basically, the fact that we need to understand how everyone in a business model, all the actors in that particular model have to benefit in order for the model to succeed. If one of those actors in the model is on failure mode, or if people are taking advantage of that, that eventually will break, and then the system will collapse. So being able to and that's just a very kind of high level description of the reason we advocate for that. But more importantly, is to really understand people, is to really understand. So that really deals more with what we call behavioral and experimental economics, and that's a whole conversation for a different day. But very much lined up with the creativity side of the practice. And then the last one is humbleness and humility, and that is so important because it really, as you know, here in the U.S., we tend to think that humbleness and humility is a weakness, but it's really a strength, because if you are truly humble, you know yourself, and you can take on prize. Some people can tell you, hey, you're an amazing person, you're going to look, but you know what? That will never cloud your vision. You will never make a bad decision based on that. And conversely, if you really are truly humble, toxic feedback, criticism, things like that will never kill your spirit, because you know who you are. So it's more about being able to understand, to learn about yourself, to know yourself in general. So those are the 4 core values that kind of drive our company and our relationships. And we try to transfer that to all the startups that we help within our technology and business incubator. So as we go through that process, creativity definitely plays a big role. And if you're not truly humble, you're never gonna take on that creative mindset. It's gonna be very difficult to absorb or receive the benefit from the people around you that are trying to help, right? So because being truly humble, you listen and you will learn and you will take advice, and you will be able to discern good advice from bad advice.
Sure.
Right? But it's just so important within the creative context.
So it sounds like you have great core values, and they really translates into your employees, into the businesses, into the companies that you help work with.
It does, and it saves us a lot of money and a lot of hardships, because people that work for our company or with people that are with us, our team, our family, if you will, they are trusted and they trust us, right? So it's a great relationship. For instance, we don't have any vacation time. We don't have any. You can leave. You can go on vacation whenever you want. no problem. We're a challenge-based company, and objectives are what drive. So if you want to go to Disney, which is often on our younger employees when they travel from A&M, they just need to know and need to take care of the fact that, hey, it's like they own the business. So they're gonna take their vacation, but they're gonna make sure that their team is in place to cover for them. And again, we don't count the hours, we don't count the days. There's no, so that saves us a lot of time,
Sure.
right? Because we don't have to be monitoring all these, PTO, personal time off points, if you will. It's just we just trust each other, and everything works so beautifully.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Do you, if you wouldn't mind sharing, you were talking about humility being one of the core values, but what was one of your biggest challenges, and how did you overcome that?
I guess I had quite a few. The first one was, I guess, just my lack of English proficiency when I came to the U.S. But as I go through the different stages in my life, I realized that one of my biggest challenges is asking for help, right? Or at least was. I'm getting better at that. But I love to help people, but I hate to ask for help. It's a big problem that I have, and our Lord has given me so much to be grateful for, and He always steps up. But I now looking back, I would have been able to fix many challenging situations by just asking for help. So that's been a life lesson for sure. And then from a I would say business perspective, a little bit more specific just to business 100%, is being able to understand that people need to. Sometimes people do not really are not really looking for specific solutions. They may not be even aware that they have a problem. So the challenges that come with unexpected consequences from helping others. I think from my point of view is more about the complexity of those relationships, of those situations. But something that I really learned and didn't find really an institution that advocated for that is what is the unintended consequence of giving people money to just fix their problems. That actually has created so much misery in our world because we end up creating dependencies, all these problems in society. So that was a great lesson in life on within the context of what we call poverty alleviation, and how to address that in a way that instead of making people dependent on us, enable them, empower them to be great people on their own and take care of themselves and recover that dignity and kind of the human spirit associated with that.
That's great. And helping them through that, then they've kind of helped started fostering creativity in their own lives.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. That's where creativity and innovation come into place, right?
I'm a gifted and talented teacher, so I work with gifted and talented children 1st through 5th grade. And so I would love to know, when you were in school, was there anything specific that you can recall that helped spark your creativity, or any specific examples that you can remember growing up?
That's a really, really insightful question. And by the way, I'm by no means gifted in any way. However, I remember I was 11 years old, and I remember the day when I became a self-learner, and that just opened the world for me. Amazing experience that I had. And basically, what I was doing, I was trying. I'm not good at memorizing things. Really, dates and those type of things are very difficult for me. but I remember, 11 years old, and I had an assignment, a calculus assignment, and it was, pretty simple now looking back, but you had to kind of memorize all these different equations, right? And I remember just thinking, there has to be an easier way to do this. If somebody actually derived the solution to this equation or derived the equation itself, I need to do that. That way I don't have to memorize anything. I can just, so I spent like 4 hours, just no books. I just, okay, this is, how do I arrive to the equation myself without memorizing? So I derived the fundamental equation that it's kind of the underpinning of everything else that happens in calculus, and I was so happy about that. I mean, I was just jumping up and down, and then from that point forward, again, I became a self-learner. I didn't have to rely on others to teach me. I remember I will go to school, and even here when I was at A&M, the notes from my whole 4 years of school were in a little pocket notebook, because what I will do is just write down, like, if there's a test coming up, or if I had a specific book I had to read, what chapter, those items, because I had the books, so I will read the books. I will read ahead of the class just to make sure I could understand. So in the class, instead of taking notes, I would just listen attentively to the professor, and it was just a breeze. I mean, it was so good. Not until I had to take political science and history that I got in trouble. But through all my mathematics and calculus and chemistry, I had a 4.0 GPR my first 2 years of school. But then that went south pretty fast when I started taking English and reading and all those things.
But you were so young too. You were 16, right?
Yeah, well, I basically turned 17 pretty soon after I arrived. So 17. So yeah.
That's incredible. That was very insightful. Thank you for sharing. Okay. I just have a couple more questions. Do you have any favorite books that you would recommend that you were like, this is a must-read book, either about being an entrepreneur or developing creativity?
Mm-hmm. Well, I would say, obviously, the Bible is my most important book. However, within the context of business, there's a really good book that I think you will appreciate. I'm trying to remember the title of it, but I think it's called Organizing Genius, or Managing Genius. But it's a book that, man, I enjoyed so much. It's part of a required reading now, but I have not seen it in a while. Let me see if I can find it. I think it's Organizing Genius. Organizing Genius by Bennett. It's a great book.
I just pulled it up as well. The Secret of Creative Collaboration.
Yeah. It's been an amazing. That's the book. It's an old book, but man, it is a set of case studies. It's a fascinating process. I also do you like coffee?
I love coffee.
So there's this. It's an audiobook, and the reason I love it within the context of creativity and innovation, actually, is because it's the history of coffee.
Okay.
It's called Caffeine. Again, only available in audiobook. And through the history of coffee, you kind of overlay how things change. A lot of people attribute coffee to the Age of Enlightenment, and kind of that journey and how things have changed, and not so much, well, obviously the coffee thing really is part of the experience, but also how then people were able to aggregate their creativity through groups, which is so difficult to do. I don't know if that makes sense.
It makes
But
complete sense.
as a person, I'm great. I love solitude and working by myself on problem solving. But once you have a fundamental set of robust, pillars of a solution, that's when then the creativity in aggregate, when you bring your friends that are very smart, that are thinking of those, you start describing the process, and then just people start contributing to that. But then when it happens in a non-structured way, it's even better, right? And that is, those things can happen organically through, obviously the coffee shops of the day were one thing, but now the bourbon or the, whatever else is people, right? So yeah, those two books are particularly, important in my personal belief. There are other not so much books, but other methodologies that have been great for us because we've been able to adapt them and to incorporate creativity into that deal more with the quality function deployment process to develop new products, new services, new concepts, new policies based on perceived quality. And again, how do you incorporate creativity into that? At the beginning was a little bit of a challenge, but we were able to do that very, very nicely. So I would say doing some original research on Dr. Taguchi and Dr. Deming quality function deployment concepts is pretty useful. It's kind of like a secret, actually.
And did you say these are required readings for your employees?
Right.
Okay.
Well, I have not put the caffeine book yet, but we have other books. That, I mean, one of the books that I love, which has nothing to do with creativity, is the Giving Tree.
Okay, it's my son's favorite book. Favorite book.
Good. So, who are you? The tree or the boy?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think I'd probably consider myself to be the tree.
Yeah. And you know what? I think all of us have a little bit of both.
Both.
Yeah. But most people have a good balance of both, and then amazing people are going to be the tree. Which, sadly, in some cases. Anyway, that's another conversation. I love to spend 30 minutes over coffee with you talking about that book and kind of your experiences in what you do for the kids you serve, and so on. So anyway,
so I love that you mentioned that though, because my son had to do he works on it's what's called a board of imagination, and that's a different story. But it's they asked him for his favorite children's book, and he looked all over our house and was like, "I want the Giving Tree." And
that's awesome.
I love that you mentioned that. Okay,
can't wait to meet him.
he is as creative and innovative, and I think he's going to maybe fill your shoes one day. Like, he just really loves being outside the box. But I just would, before we end, is there anything else? Any other advice you would like to share? Anything else?
I guess no. Just I really want to learn more about what you guys are doing, how things are coming up with the semester, this project in particular, and I would love the opportunity to check in every year or so, and maybe incorporate some of your target audience into the stuff we do.
I've just been so impressed with this whole project and incorporating so many different people.
Awesome. Well, hopefully we can meet in person soon. I'd love for you to meet my wife, and my kids are probably your age.
Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. And we'll be in touch soon. I guess, I don't know if do you have a podcast series or something? Is that or
believe, yes, I saw this on YouTube. Thank you, Luis.